Hello and welcome back to So This is Thailand. I'm Johan Wimonjalao. Swadee krap.
I'm Thapani Manawe. สวัสดีค่ะ
And I'm Belinda Skinner. สวัสดีค่ะ
Big numbers today, yes? For something you...
Absolutely. And I don't know if... I haven't befriended you yet.
What happened?
And I haven't befriended Facebook. Did you know that Facebook has just hit its 1 billion user? Or user? No, 1 billion... Yeah,
User?
user.
Yeah, user,
It would be
yeah.
a user this week. And so they all celebrated. I think that's incredible. There's 1 billion people in the world are using Facebook.
Wow. People.
It's actually 15% of the world's population.
Wow.
Isn't that scary? Well, considering they started out, what was it? They launched in 2004, 50 million by 2007, 100 million by 2008, and 500 million in 2010, and now 1 billion in 2012. One more year, what would it be?
One more year. All I ask is from those billion people, just 1 cent. That's all I ask for.
Yeah.
Just give me one tiny penny and we'll call it even.
How many of those Facebook people are friends or have liked So This is Thailand Facebook page?
Exactly.
We need to get out to those 1 billion people that are liking So This is Thailand.
Click. Well, actually, from those numbers, I was reading last week that Facebook is having a problem because of people using Facebook for social media marketing. So a lot of those accounts that are kind of hitting the numbers are not actually owned by real people or individuals. There are multiple accounts that many people have created in order to, say for example, you own a business, you create fake accounts and then you go and like it to get more likes, to get yourself to seem more popular or something. That also happens too.
Actually, I covered this, or I talked about it a couple weeks ago when I was looking at the elections in the US and they were talking about, how many people, how many Twitter followers are there for Obama, how many Twitter followers are for Mitt Romney, and they found out that actually for a lot of those claimed followers, those were kind of like milled accounts. They weren't really actual people. You can actually go to companies who produce these accounts for you and say, I want 500 people who like my page, and bada bing.
So hence why it got up quite quickly just recently.
Yeah.
Wow, scary.
Well, talk of the town.
Well, the first talk of the town is very, very exciting, and we do love boxing here in Thailand. And well, there's great news because at the end of the year, the bout between Buakaw, Paw Pramuk, and Manny Pacquiao has been confirmed for December the 21st. It is going to be a really, really great match. Buakaw is, of course, the most famous Muay Thai fighter from Thailand. He's a two-time K1 World Max champion. And Manny Pacquiao is the legendary boxing champion from the Philippines. So when they go head to head, it will be a great bout indeed. This match will be broadcast across 177 countries with a prize of $3 million.
Wow. Well, this should get some big publicity for the country.
Absolutely. And it's also in honor of the King's 85th birthday anniversary.
Well, hopefully a great present would be to win the bout.
Well, yes. Entertained and, everyone's excited, so.
Well, boxing is a sport that, even in the Olympics, it's something that Thailand really excels at.
It's
so
always done really well.
We do have a very, reasonable chance of winning.
I've only been a couple of times to the Muay Thai live and it's pretty amazing. It's awesome. And it's a really good fitness too. Apparently you can go out there and train, not to go into a full bout, but a really good opportunity to increase your fitness.
Yeah, they actually do training. If you've ever been to a Muay Thai training camp, they started with the little kids, and they are full on, full on. There's not an ounce of fat on them.
Yeah, I always thought that's a little bit cruel because kids can't really choose.
Well, at least they're not going to get picked on in school.
That's true. Yeah,
true.
Well, next up on the list, going from the, might say, violent sport of boxing to the more meditative profession of monkhood. Indeed, it's been just found out that many Thai monks, in fact, 50% of them are suffering from non-communicable chronic diseases such as hypertension, diabetes, ischemic heart disease, and hyperlipidemia. And they're really thinking about where can this be coming from, why they have these health problems, and it's the food.
Wow, I never thought of it.
You never thought about it, but you know, monks get their food from all the donations which are being brought in. And a lot of the foods which they're being donated are not healthy.
Wow, that's really sad.
Absolutely.
So what can we do about it?
Well, some of the traditional beliefs as well, like for example, when my cousin gives alms, she'll always give something sweet. So, you know, it kind of brings sweetness to your life. So is it superstition, that kind of thing. So if monks are getting this on a regular basis, and they, of course, they can't choose what they consume, because it's a food that people give them. And sometimes the curries are quite fatty. And I think that when you cook for somebody else, you're not always so concerned about how healthy it is, because you're not eating it. So.
Very true, and you want to make it as rich and flavorful as possible, which
Yes.
doesn't translate into being the most healthy. What's also surprising is the second big cause of these are lack of exercise. But if you look at the lifestyle, obviously, you know, they're doing meditation in the morning, they're doing prayers during the day. It's not really part of the daily regimen.
Yeah.
And the third one, very surprising, smoking.
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 Wow, that really is surprising.
It'd be very surprising. I would think that would be included as one of the tenets of a no-no to do, along there with alcohol, but I guess not.
I thought that too, and I asked a monk about it, and he said you can smoke as long as you're not addicted to it. So, well, how do you know? So as long as it's not an addiction, they are allowed.
Gosh, so we've now got to, give the monks fruit, not cigarettes, but give the monks fruit and vegetables, probably more than the sweet things, because we have strawberries and pineapple, that's still sweet, but healthy.
Healthy, exactly. And the government actually estimates that they're spending almost 57 million baht on health services.
Wow.
So it's at 50% of those in Thailand, it's there's 300,000 Buddhist monks here in the country. It's a very large number.
Yeah. Oh, so I think next time now, I think for people who are donating the foods to the monk, just have a second thought about what you're actually donating.
Yeah, donating healthier stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, well, next is also about health concerns, and now we're taking a look at children. And it is a health concern for children who are addicted to games on the internet. Now, the National Health Assembly Organizing Committee has revealed that when they did a survey of people aged between 7 to 25, they found that 15 to 25-year-olds are using the internet, more than a quarter of these people are using the internet more than 6 days a week and playing online games 4.5 hours a day. Now, that is a lot of time to be spending in front of a square monitor. So, of course, leads to bad eyesight, attention deficit disorder, eating, sleeping problems, not sleeping enough, and also leads to obesity as well. So, this is a concern for Thai children.
Wow, a bit scary. Very scary. Actually, it relates back to, I think there was a discussion yesterday with reading.
Yes.
So, encourage children that instead of looking at the internet, they should read more.
Well, I have to admit, I do play online games, and they're a lot of fun. But I do balance that. I do read a novel, no pictures or anything. That's not a comic book. I do read a novel as in at least the same amount of time. So moderation, that's the key.
Absolutely. And I can understand the obesity point as well, because you're sitting still, and actually the reading doesn't cover the obesity. So now we have to break it down in 3. Internet, online games, reading, and some sport, some exercise.
Well, they are trying to curb this by trying to reduce activity in the game shops. You know those little game shops that are around, and the kids flock to these after school to spend time playing with their friends there. So they're suggesting that parents cap their children's spending on games to about 100 baht per day or per week. I don't know if that's going to be useful.
I think they would find a way out of it.
They're going to find a way.
One alternative to do it, and if those who know the gaming world any, if you look at a lot of the games which require physical movement, all those games from Japan where you have to do the dancing or the spinning around.
Or the Wii.
Or the Wii, where you have all the sports and the fitness. If you at least you can incorporate some type of exercise into the game, you'd find kids doing a lot more, I think.
The Wii is really tiring.
Yes,
is it really? I haven't tried the Wii. I'm wondering if you could get some sort of like treadmill machines and all lined up to have running races. Things like that, but on the Wii style, but you're using a treadmill instead.
Probably could. Well, last but not least on the list of the talk of the town is looking at a lot of the buildings around Bangkok. Unfortunately, are not that safe. There was a survey done to find out exactly how many are unsafe. There were a few numbers. I'm not going to mention them because they seem a little blown out from my perspective. 3,000 of these buildings are high-rises. Obviously, there's been some news about collapses, whether they are old buildings or even new constructions. We've seen collapses in the news as well. The main part of this story is, though, if you feel that a building is unsafe or needs to be inspected, there's now a hotline. If you dial 1166, you can inform the government and say, you know what, I think this building is not up to code, or I think it is beyond its lifespan, and it will come and inspect it and hopefully find an alternative.
Excellent. Nothing like increasing the safety. That's good.
Well, you know, nobody really thinks about building, I mean, the actual structure itself, because it's got all the stuff around it, but you don't think of, well, how old's the steel rebar inside? How old's the concrete?
Yeah.
How long's it been there? Has there been any subsidence underneath it? How deep does the foundation go? And especially since Bangkok is we're in a basin here, and it's sinking every year. Yeah. Obviously, a lot of things that might have been stable a few years ago, 20 years ago, are not so stable anymore.
Right. Well, that's definitely a concern, as well as some of these unsafe buildings tend to be, you know, when you build something and then it gets popular, then you add more, I'm not naming any names, add more extensions and try to cram as many shops or things into it as possible. So I can definitely think of a few. Actually, I shop there.
Actually, that was one of the main problems that they were talking about, was the fact that a lot of these buildings were built under code at the time, but there's been so many alterations through the years. They've added an extra floor or an extra wing here or a little patio over there, and they don't understand that, you know, the whole structure itself gets impacted.
Yeah, very true. Good point. Well, at least they're doing something about it.
Exactly.
So take that number in and call up, yeah?
Well, that is the talk of the town today. Coming up after the break, though, it will be me again on V-Talk. We won't chill out talk. Taking over for Valerie once again. I'm actually taking a look at a company called BB Bike, and what they do is they import second-hand bikes from Japan. Why Japan? Well, they say that the quality of the steel, very, very good. The quality of the bike's very, very good, and some of them are even collectibles.
Wow.
Didn't know you could collect bikes, but some of them are quite unique, and it was a great experience, and it was kind of an accidental business to start up with. So,
can't wait to hear more then.
Yeah, you can actually get some very affordable bikes. No need to go out there and buy a new one. And some that are, well, many different styles, from the young to the very old. And then after that we have, I believe,
Buyer's Paradise.
Buyer's Paradise. Yeah. So I believe we'll be giving more tips on where to shop and find the best deals as well. So stay tuned.